Hey y'all, it's Benny. We are back with Roll and Write Revolution. This is my new game, Anastasia. So this is going to be part of the December package with Carnivorous. So you guys will see Carnivorous as well on video, but you'll see this video as part of that Kickstarter package. Anastasia is a game that plays solo or it plays with two players. A lot of the theme behind this game is the Russian Revolution. It's looking at the stories of and the myths of these young girls who claimed to be Anastasia after the royal family was captured and subsequently put to death by the Bolshevik army, or the Red Army. So it kind of revolves around that theme and that idea where in this game, in this story that you guys are playing, there is a young girl who is believed to be Anastasia and has escaped and is trying to get somewhere, get to freedom, escape the Red Army, basically. So the solo player, or the player one, is going to play as the White Army. They play down here. They have 3 cards. Each card has a Fabergé egg. That's going to be important here in a minute. We'll talk about what that does. The Red Army player, or if playing solo, the Red Army player is represented by AI effects. So they have a star, right, on theirs. There's also a difficulty level here where the Red Army can have a 2-star card, which is basically a pumped up version of the 1-star cards. So if you're playing solo, you may want to try those out first, the 1-star, and then try out the 2-star after that for a greater challenge. If you're playing against an opponent, try the 1-star, and if you feel like that's not enough oomph, go for the 2-star and see if that's more. Their speed gives them more of a feel of control. The other part of this game is cards. So we have movement cards. So our supposed Anastasia is moving each turn, and it's a hidden movement game. We don't know exactly where she is moving to or moving from until the cards are revealed, and then she's going to move, right? And so the idea is that the white player is trying to place their shapes, right? These down here, these polyomino shapes, they're going to be an outline. I'll kind of show you a couple turns so you guys can see what's going on here. So we rolled the 3 dice, right? And this is kind of how we start all of our turns. Thank you, Willie, for the dice box here, the dice rolling box that I use in all my videos. So we have a 3, a 2, and a 1. The white player is going to choose first. The red player would choose second, the Red Army player, and then whatever dice is left over is going for the Anastasia movement. So in the first turn, she's not moving. From the second turn on, she'll begin to move. So what happens is we're going to gradually set up cards over here for Anastasia to move with. You can see the red player has a rearrange movement cards. The white player also has look at movement cards or rearrange movement cards. So as you kind of get a feel for the game, it becomes sort of a cat and mouse game of a lot, where one player is trying to guide, one player is trying to capture. Essentially, the red player, when Anastasia is captured, that means her movement ends in one of the Red Army's polyomino shapes that have been placed on the board. And so you'll see from the movement card, they have a specific direction. So she's going to move that many spaces from one of these 2 starting points the white player is going to choose, and then she'll move accordingly. So we'll kind of shuffle that back in so you guys don't see that one again. And so she moves accordingly with that. Now, the way it works, as players are playing, they're going to discard a card. Once all 3 cards have been played, they can then pick up the cards and use them again. But as she's captured again, as I mentioned, by the Red Army player, if she ends her movement in a Red Army space, the player who's playing the White Army loses a card of their choice. And so once all of their cards are finished, then the game is over, the red player wins. Now the White Army player, can win if Anastasia reaches one of these A's up here along the northern part of our field, our forest here. So she enters here on one of these 2 spaces. The goal is to end her movement up here, okay? So that's kind of the trick. So if she escapes, the White Army player wins. Very much you either win or you lose kind of game. There's not a lot of points that are happening here. So we'll kind of give you a little quick overview. So the White Army player gets their choice of one of these 3 dice, 3 being the higher number, probably is preferred, because then otherwise we're giving the white army player a bigger number. But see, with the white army, they actually want smaller numbers, so that's beneficial to them to have a smaller number. So with players, so if you have a 1 player and a 2 player, so player 1, player 2, they're going to choose any polyomino shape of that value or less, right? So I could pick, as a white player, I could have this L shape, I could have the 2 space, or I could have the 1 space shape, okay? And then I draw an outline on my board. I can start anywhere I want on my board, but my first polyomino shape has to touch one of my A's to give our Anastasia safe passage. The red player, you can see, has a red box, that the red army player has a red box they start with. They're going to actually create shaded boxes adjacent to that each turn as the cards are revealed, right, as the dice are rolled. And then they get one of these cards randomly, and so that could be helpful to them also. And once, again, all 3 are played, you shuffle them, flip them back over, create a new deck if you're playing solo. If you're playing with an opponent, the opponent will choose their cards each turn. So, kind of give you a quick run through here. Our purple marker will be our white army player. And I said they were going to choose the 3, because that's going to give them the biggest space to create safety for Anastasia. We're not really sure where Anastasia's moving yet, so we're going to go ahead and draw her a safe passage space right here. This is a safe house for her. And then we're going to do a guard post. That's for the red army player. They get a 2, so this is going to be that big L shape. This is a 3, and then 1. So they are actually going to create a space. There we go. And so a lot of the red army player is going to play defensively. You know, the players should think about this as though they were the red army player if they're playing solo. I'm going to go ahead and fill in this big shape here for them. Right, there we go. And then Anastasia has a 1. Anastasia is not moving this turn. Our supposed Anastasia. We also didn't choose cards. So they would have picked one of these cards. I would have picked a card if I wanted to. And neither one of these cards are very useful to me yet, because I don't have any cards out for Anastasia to move with. So Anastasia moves a card out here. We don't know where she's moving yet. The second round would occur, rolling dice. I'm going to give you a couple turns so you guys can kind of see what's happening here. So a 3, 4, and a 5. The red army player in playing solo will always take the highest die value. So they would assume, they would probably take the 5 if I left it. The white army player always plays their turn first, because they're playing at what is perceived to be a disadvantage. So I think I like the 3 again. I'm going to create another safe space here as I move along. Right, you guys can kind of see how this plays a little bit. So I'm going to probably start Anastasia here. I want to try to get her up here somewhere away from this big block of red. And in the rules, you guys will see there's specific directions for the red army player solo as far as when and where they play. So we have a north, south, east, and west compass here on both sides to kind of give you a perspective of where Anastasia's movement is going to end, where she's going to move from when she moves, right? And so I do want to look at the movement cards. I'll go ahead and play that card, look at the movement cards. So I'm going to look at this movement card. You all can see what it is. She's moving east as many spaces as she can. If she runs out of spaces to move east, she'll have to stop her movement. So I know that. Red army player is taking the 5. And they're going to play north. And they're going to play north from one of their other places. So we're going to put it directly north of this one, such as that. And Anastasia does have a movement this time. She has a 4. However, she does not have 2 cards out yet. This card is going to slide over. This card will be placed here. Our next turn, once there's 2 cards available, then she's going to start to move before she adds another card. So we know what this card is. She's going to be moving east straight off of our map. So roll a dice again. At least give you guys a chance to see her movement as well. So a 2, a 3, and a 6. as I mentioned, the solo player is really going to want the highest number available. If I can keep feeding them low numbers, that might be my benefit, because then Anastasia is probably not going to get very far. So let's take a 2 for that, and Anastasia will have a movement of 3. So I'll place my 2 real quick. So we want to kind of place it next to other things we've played. Let's go ahead and go right here next to the Red Army. Kind of lean into their territory a little bit. We're trying to get Anastasia a safe passage as she goes. The Red Army player is going to fill in 2 blocks. So they've already done west, north, and now they're going to fill into the east, and this has to be adjacent to something they've already played. So they're going to play here, kind of creating a little bit of a blockade. So now Anastasia has movement cards. I know what the first one was. That was an east one. Let's actually use this. We're going to rearrange her 2 movement cards. So we're going to place those here. So as a white player, I would have done this before red did their thing. And the red player will give them a card at random. They're going to rearrange the 2 movement cards as well. So back to our east card leading. So Anastasia is actually going to move this turn. So she's going to start, and as the white player, I can choose where she starts. She's going to move a total of 3 spaces. So since she's moving 3 spaces, I kind of want to start her over here on this A, because she's going to move 3 spaces and end at E, at east. So we'll start her here. So it's Anastasia's start point. And she's going to move exactly 3 spaces. 1, 2. This will be her 3rd space, right? She moves exactly 3. And we put an A where she ends her movement. Okay. So that card is discarded. That card out of our way here. This card is going to move over. She adds a new card. So again, next turn she's moving. We're going to roll one more time. Give you guys kind of a good feel for what's happening here in this game. So we have a 6, a 3, and a 3. As we know, our Red Army player really likes those high numbers. Do I want a 6? So the Red Army player is playing to the west next time. If I leave him a 3, that's a pretty big... And I don't know where Anastasia's going next, right? So I think I want to let him have a 6. I'll take the 3. And so I'm trying to create a safe passage for her. I know where she's at right now. She could move north. So let's go ahead and assume she's probably going to move north. So you can rotate these shapes as you need to when you place them on your board. Just kind of be careful that they actually fit within the spaces and they don't overlap or they don't hang off the edge of the grid, right? So our Red Army player is building now to the west. So the Red Army player can kind of see she's moving. So probably they do something like this. You know, I'm playing solo, so I'll do that for them. I'm going to add 2 movement to Anastasia's movement dice. So she'll actually be moving 5 spaces when it's her turn to move. And then our Red Army player has a -2 also. Okay, they're going to lock one of the movement cards. So they're going to lock the first movement card if possible. That means I can't look at it and I can't rearrange it. They can't rearrange it either, which may not be to their benefit. So Anastasia is moving. She's going to be moving straight north. 5 spaces. Oh. Okay, here we go. So she's moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ending her movement here. That is not ideal for us because she is now in the red area. As the White Army player, I have to sacrifice one of my cards. I'm going to sacrifice my rearrange card. I get my cards back. So you guys kind of get a feel for how this game's playing. Anastasia is moving pretty quick with our 5 movement there, but she did give up one of her reds, so or one of her eggs to the Red Army to get free. It's a bribe for her, so we actually add her next card over. You know, so that's where, as the White Army player, you know, I've got to try to get her some safety in a different area. Try to find ways to help her escape a little bit better. So this kind of gives you an overview of how Anastasia works and gives you a couple turns so you can see some of the gameplay start to unfold, a little bit of cat and mouse action with this game. It plays pretty quick. Plays 1 or 2 players, as I mentioned. Thank you for checking out Roll and Write Revolution. This is Anastasia. This is one of our games that's going to be part of the December Kickstarter package with Carnivorous. Thanks. Have a great one, guys.